Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. I want to share with you 10 answers to questions that you have sent me on Instagram regarding decluttering and becoming a minimalist and really seeing the benefits of a minimalist life. So I did ask you on Instagram if you have any problems or struggles or questions just about decluttering and becoming a minimalist in general, and you sent me a lot of good ones. And I grouped them together so that everything makes sense. So let's start from the beginning with the first question. How on earth do I start and stay motivated? So I think sometimes if you really stand in front of the mountain of stuff we own and we know that there's a lot of work, it can almost feel like paralyzing. And I can definitely understand that sometimes it's hard to just start. So if that works for you, I would suggest just start, if that's something you can do. But then most likely you don't have this question. I don't think it's important where you start. If it feels good, you can just start. But if you're wondering or if you feel like stuck and you don't know where to begin, I think there are two things you should do. Number one, get clear on why you are doing the whole thing. Get clear on why you want to become a minimalist or just declutter your life. Picture the result you want to see, both in like a physical way. How do you want your room, your house, your apartment to look? And also, how do you want to feel? What should be the difference when you're there? How does it feel to have a decluttered life? Do you have more time? Do you need to clean less? Do you have more money? Do you have more clarity about what is in your wardrobe, in your kitchen, in your other storage spaces? Just picture where you want to go, and that should give you some reason and some motivation and push you a little bit when it comes to actually start doing something, because then you kind of know, you know where you're going, you have a direction. And the other thing I think you can do is start with what's easy. And if you don't know that right now, Marie Kondo, for example, she suggests you start with clothing because usually it's replaceable. And usually we use it every day, and so we kind of we can see a difference. It's something that has not so much emotional meaning attached to it, and also there are good criteria to determine if we need something or not. Like if we don't wear something, maybe then we don't need it, or if it doesn't fit us, if it's broken, it's easier to determine if something should stay or not. So these are the two things I suggest when it comes to getting started and also staying motivated. Get clear on where you're going, why you're doing this, what you want the end result to be, and also start where it's easy. Categorize your stuff and start with a category to see results fast and to just have kind of a plan. And then we're in the middle of decluttering, and the next question is, how do I determine if something is actually necessary or if it's just a source of pleasure? And here I have another question as an answer, and that is, do you need to determine that? Do you really need to know that? But I understand sometimes maybe it's important. So one thing I want to say here is that you are absolutely allowed to have things that are just for pleasure. You absolutely don't need to only keep things that are purely necessary. Because I think for a fulfilling human life, we do kind of need some tools like clothes and bathroom supplies, food, a roof over our head, a bed maybe, or some place to sleep. But we also need pleasure, I think. We also need things that we think are beautiful, that we enjoy doing, enjoy having, as long as they are not weighing us down. But if you really want to answer this for yourself, once you should determine what is needing. Is needing if you cannot borrow it, you cannot rent it, you need to have it for yourself and you need it to survive? Or is needing what you need to live a good life, to live a happy life? And then I think emotional needs are definitely needs too. But to determine if you really need something, I would just ask yourself, am I using it on a weekly basis? And does it make a difference? If I'm using it, does this make a difference? Does this do something that needs to be done? Okay, this sounds weird. I mean, I need a kitchen to prepare food. Yes, I could also go out and buy food each and every time, but maybe that's too expensive, or, you know, I need some place to sleep because I need to sleep each and every day. And now I can determine if I need a bed, if I want to sleep in a hammock, if I want to sleep on a sleeping pad, if I want to sleep on the floor, whatever suits your needs best. But then I think you again can decide a little bit by pleasure. You shouldn't like sleep on the floor just because you say like, I can sleep on the floor, I do not need a bed, because I think you absolutely deserve a good night's sleep. I hope you could kind of understand what I mean if you have this question as well, to determine what you really need. And on the other hand, I think it's just an emotional question, and you can always just ask yourself like, how do I feel about this? Would it hurt if I didn't have it? What would it mean for my life if I did not have this thing? And if it feels bad, if it would make your life a lot more complicated, if it would make your life a lot less beautiful, then I think it's a need. Next question. How do I deal with emotions while decluttering? And something that goes along with that, how do I declutter sentimental items? And also, how do I declutter things that other people think I should keep? So let's start at the beginning. I think emotions are normal while decluttering, and while you maybe do not feel emotional when you just get rid of some paper clutter that is laying around in your apartment, and that's perfectly fine because it's just trash, it should just go, you should just recycle all the paper clutter. You of course might feel emotional when you declutter things that have been in your life for a long time, that have played a huge role and that have memories attached to them, or functions, or represented a certain area or a certain time in your life. Feeling emotions does not mean you need to keep it or you need to declutter it, I think. While it might not be healthy to feel too attached to things, it's also not healthy if you just declutter everything you feel any attachment to free yourself from all the attachment. You can of course go this route. This is maybe more a spiritual and route of minimalism, but I think it's totally fine to have things that we feel emotions towards, and I also think it's fine to kind of feel very emotional while decluttering. And I think that's something very private and individual, and so it might be different for every person. And I think what helps the most, for me at least, is just being very honest with yourself and letting yourself feel these emotions. Of course, taking a step back if it's too much. But I think these emotions are good. These emotions mean you maybe learn more about yourself. These emotions help you decide. And these emotions also can bring you forward, because sometimes we don't have things that belong into our future. And so I think it really makes sense with these emotions to decide what are the things that I really want to bring into the future and what are the things that maybe belong to my past. And then for decluttering sentimental items in general, I do have several videos about that I'm gonna link you up here. But I think there's really, you can do whatever feels best, but there's no rules or nothing that you need to follow. I think it makes sense to not keep a house full of sentimental items. Of course, everything can be sentimental to a certain amount, but you shouldn't like have boxes upon boxes upon boxes of stored sentimental items, because then it really drags down your present and your future if you just keep lugging your past life around with you. But I also think it is perfectly fine to have some sentimental items. Some people decide to not have any. That's of course fine too. But I think you really should, because they are sentimental items, be led by your emotions. Feel what feels like it doesn't belong in your life anymore. Keep what you think is really meaningful to you and you want to keep for your future, show to your children and grandchildren maybe. But I think especially when it comes to sentimental items, it's important to listen to yourself, to decide for yourself what's important, and not keep things you think you need to keep or that people think you should keep. And that is actually the third part of this question, how to declutter things that other people think you should keep, or how to deal with these things. Now, if they want to keep it, you can give it to them. You can say, look, if you want to keep it, you can have it. That's something I sometimes do with pictures from me and my siblings from our childhood. If I don't want them, but they think they're still valuable, then they can keep it if they want it. Of course, don't just put all of your baggage on other people and say, yeah, you keep it for me. I wouldn't do that. I would just get super clear on what you want to keep. And I think that's a boundary other people should respect. If you do not want to keep your yearbooks, your baby blanket, your stuffed animal, your I don't know what, then that's your right to declutter it. And if it's meaningful to other people, then they can keep it. But if a person wants to keep it for you because they think they know better what's best for you, I don't think that's really right. What you can do if you're unsure of, especially for sentimental items, is put them away, consider them decluttered, and revisit them after 3, 6, 12 months to make sure that you are actually happy with your decision. And if you put them away, consider them decluttered, you can feel if it's okay that they are gone. But you still have the chance to get them back if you feel that it's not okay, if you feel like, I really regret this decision, I want to have this thing back in my life. And that's just an opportunity you have with sentimental items, because the problem is sentimental items, once they're gone, they're gone. And I can just encourage you to also not be too ruthless. If you really feel on the fence with something, you can consider it decluttered for now, and again feel if it's really okay, this decision, or you can just keep it because you can always declutter it again. And I think it's more hurtful if you declutter something that you then regret than keeping something and decluttering it in the next round because you realize you really don't want to keep it. And then the fourth thing is how to stay motivated if you're the only member of the family that wants to be a minimalist, or if you live in a relationship with a partner that's not a minimalist. And I think that's a really good one. I think that's something that a lot of us think about, because in most cases we are not all or both equally interested in minimalism. That's also the case for my life. I'm by far the most minimalist person in my family. And I think here it's just important to first focus on your stuff. That is also the reason why I kind of took my personal stuff from the whole apartment, where it was like in different places, to just one place to actually have an overview over my stuff. To have like the control over my stuff, to focus on my stuff, declutter my stuff, and store my stuff in a way that I think is appealing, that I feel good about, so that I have just my space where I can organize my stuff, have it as empty as I want, have it as full as I want, but not to always battle about like, I declutter something, there's more from other people that are not minimalist. I declutter more and it's filled up with stuff from other people. Not that my family members are hoarders, but that would be a scenario that can happen. So that's what I would do for stuff. Just focus on your stuff and really look at your stuff. And then you can also see a lot of progress and keep being motivated without your other family members decluttering things. When it comes to shared spaces and shared stuff, I think you should just talk about it. Tell them why you think you can declutter it. If it's like special kitchen equipment or hobby gear that you haven't used in 5 years, and find a decision. And of course, it's going to be a compromise. It's never going to be like you're 100% happy or them, but that's just the reality of having different opinions about things in a relationship or family. And when it comes to actually like shared rooms, I think it makes sense to just also allow both people or all people to have the control over a certain environment. If you live with your family and have one room, it should be your right to decorate your room however you like it. And if you're in a relationship, I think it can also work if you just say like, I decorate the living room, you decorate the office, the entryway, the kitchen, so that you just have different areas where you are more so in control. And that should hopefully just make it possible for both or all people to feel okay with the space they're living in, because I think everybody deserves a space they feel good in. And as much as not minimalists have the right to put their stuff somewhere, I think minimalists should have the right to have some open space somewhere. You know what I mean? It's just not okay if a minimalist makes room and then all the other people fill it up with their stuff. And I think good communication is just key. Talk about it, sharing your feelings and your opinion without telling other people you should do that, because I don't think it really works converting other people into minimalists if they don't want to. You can live by example. You can, just be in control over your stuff and try to talk to your family members openly to find a solution that works for everybody. And then here is a question, or like I asked for problems or struggles, and it just says like laundry and also living with family and cooking and reducing the number of kitchen supplies. And I think for all of these areas, especially if you live with a family, you tend to have more things. My kitchen is pretty fully stocked. Like we don't have maybe a lot of electronical devices, but we definitely have even a pasta machine, or we just have things, right, to cook because we like cooking. And I sometimes feel overwhelmed. I think like I have so much kitchen stuff. Like half of my stuff is kitchen stuff, it feels like. But I think that's also okay. Like if you use your things, then maybe you have more in certain areas. Or when it comes to laundry and things like that, I think it makes sense to like look over the system, see if there's something you could make more efficient, if there's step you can leave out. Especially when you live with a family, I think it's also a good idea to communicate, like how can we make a schedule or something that works well for all of us? Do we have certain days where we do laundry? Do we have certain chores that belong to certain people? Like one person is always making laundry, but another person is putting it away, or everybody does his laundry or her laundry, or things like that, to just streamline these things. And the same goes for cooking and grocery shopping and all the areas or chores that need to be done. Find a way so that people, like if you're living with more people, then maybe arrange it in a way that everybody can do his or her favorite task, or you take turns if you really all have the same favorite task. For example, for cooking, one way people do it is that they have 7 different meals. If you cook at night, for example, and then you have on Monday for dinner, you always have pancakes. On Tuesday for dinner, you always have pasta. On Wednesday for dinner, you always have, I don't know what, a rice dish, whatever suits your family, or just find systems like that. Decide not on an individual basis of like each individual evening, what are you cooking, but make decisions that are default, that work for a longer future. But this is again something that is just very individual. If you like cooking, you have more kitchen stuff. If you have more family members, laundry is going to be a bigger task. And it just depends on your hobbies, on your household, on your life, where you will have more things or less things. And comparing yourself to other people, I don't know if it will like make you happy, most likely not. Kitchen stuff is a struggle for me too. I think we have a lot of things, but also I have looked over it several times and we actually use all of it. So that's maybe just reality and the best we can do, to have things that we actually use on a regular basis, and then it's maybe more, but doesn't matter. And then another question I got is how to maintain minimalist practices while traveling. Now, for one, I think while traveling, you are already more minimalist because you usually take your stuff with you in a very restricted luggage piece. Like you cannot take your whole apartment, or if you travel in a van, maybe you have a little bit more space, but still it's very restricted. So that part of minimalism, I think, takes care of itself. You don't have that much stuff. And other practices that really depend, like I think it makes sense to maintain certain rituals or habits while traveling. Like if you really enjoy meditating each morning, or going for a run each morning, or preparing your own food, I think you can of course do that while traveling as well. And there you just decide what's important to you, what really makes a difference, makes you feel good on an everyday basis. And then of course it makes sense to maintain these things and take them with you while traveling. But for other things, I think traveling is a unique experience, and most of us don't travel full time. So why not just travel? Do whatever feels good, do different things than you do from like being at home, and just experience traveling in the best way. I think one thing is souvenir shopping. Again, there I would be really careful. And when it comes to spending money, make yourself a budget, but don't be too strict, because it should still be a fulfilling experience. I think it's really individual here as well, so you have to find a solution that works best for you. But I think for all these areas, it just don't beat yourself up. Experience life, and you can always adjust and make new decisions. And whenever you find something that works for you, stick with it. And then now when we're done with decluttering, I think one thing that is really hard, and actually several people have asked me about this, is how do I get rid of stuff responsibly? Why is it so hard to rehome things in a sustainable way? Why it is so difficult to make sure that each individual item that I'm decluttering gets use in the future as well? And I feel that same way. I can definitely tell you it's a hard thing. It's really complicated to make sure that each individual item that I declutter actually finds a new home. And I think that has several reasons. We are over-consuming. We are just buying too much stuff as a whole global society. It's of course not equally bad everywhere, but I think in general there is too much stuff that already exists. So it gets harder and harder to actually find a good home for things that we don't need anymore. And there's also not really a solution for that. The only thing we can do is being really mindful about buying things in the future to make sure that we don't need to find a new home for those things in a matter of months or just a few years. So I think it really makes sense to buy things secondhand that already exist, to make it easier for other people for their decluttered things to find a new place. Make sure to buy things from other people that they have decluttered on online marketplaces. And if you declutter your stuff, I think do your best, but it's never going to be perfect. I try to sell my things on online marketplaces. I try to give away my things for free on online marketplaces. I, of course, just recycle things that cannot be used anymore or put things in the trash that cannot even be recycled anymore. And the rest, there is a portion of stuff that I sometimes really don't know where to put. And I bring these things to a secondhand store that really tries to resell everything possible and recycle everything that cannot be sold. It's not a perfect solution because I still don't know if they are not throwing away a majority of my stuff. But it's the best I can do. And I do feel bad for the things that I declutter and that might end up in the landfill. But it should just be a good reminder to be extra careful when it comes to the things that I will buy in the future. I definitely also don't bring things away immediately. So I do have a pile of stuff that I have decluttered that I need to take care of. And it's not a nice feeling. But I think it saves me some time if I don't do it for each individual piece that I declutter, but if I kind of keep all the things and then do all at once every few months. And then another person shared their struggles and said that they are getting more and more frustrated the more intentional and conscious they live with other people just mindlessly consuming and being bad for the environment. And now I can totally understand how you feel this way. And I think that is frustrating sometimes if you try your very, very best and you see that it looks like all the people around you are just not even thinking about it and just wasting so much, plastic, flying all the time, just not living a sustainable lifestyle. I totally understand that feeling. But I think there are two things we should talk about when it comes to that. Number one, it's a lot more important that big companies and governments and just people in power make changes than the individual people. Yes, it is important that people like me and you try to be more sustainable. Yes, it is important that we all try to make good choices when you buy things, that we are careful when decluttering things, that we try to live more sustainably. But the biggest impact is definitely when it comes to companies and governments. And I do think that consumers have a certain responsibility and that we should be careful when it comes to advertisement, for example. But also, isn't it the companies that produce products that are bad quality, fall apart, pollute the environment, and then they try to make us buy these things? Again, I'm not saying that they are responsible and we can consume whatever we want. It's not on us because they are making us buy these things. It's not what I'm saying, but I don't think we can put the responsibility on the consumer completely. Another thing that is really important here when it comes to being a consumer and consuming in a sustainable or not so sustainable way is how much money do you have? Because people with a lot of money have a huge impact on the environment, while people with less money usually have a really, really small impact. Our lives are different, and therefore also our best way to live sustainably is different. And I think as a person trying to live sustainably and spreads the message and try to make other people live more sustainable, I think, again, we can lead by example. That's something we can definitely do. If people ask us, of course, we can give them answers and point them into directions of where to get more sustainable products, how to live your life more sustainable. What also really helps is voting in a way that will make the world more sustainable. Just supporting businesses that are sustainable. And also, maybe if you're giving your loved ones gifts for Christmas, why not giving them a gift that is sustainable or that promotes sustainability if you want to get them interested in sustainability? I think what doesn't work is trying to push other people to live more sustainable, because I think most of us are aware. And if we're not living sustainably, maybe we feel guilty already. And since, again, it is not solely the consumer's responsibility, I think it is a pretty hard topic also because it can be very expensive to live sustainably. So I think if we feel pressured into doing things that we do not see as an option for us right now, it's hard. But I definitely also understand. I definitely understand the frustration of trying to live sustainably and seeing people around you just doing the opposite. And then moving to the part where we want to make sure that our decluttering efforts are actually valuable, that our life stays decluttered, we have 2 more points. And the first one is, how do I tell my family that I don't want stuff? And this is, of course, especially important maybe for Christmas, but I think it's a tricky one because I haven't told my family completely that I don't want stuff, even though I'm a minimalist and I don't need most things. But the good thing is that my family kind of knows what kind of books I read, so they often give me books that I enjoy, or they give me chocolate that I enjoy. And so most of the time we find a way that I get stuff that I actually enjoy. I think one thing you can do is have a list of things you need and make people pick something from this list. Establish rules in your whole family to do Secret Santa, for example, so you just lower the number of gifts in general, or to only give books to each other, or to just have a category of things, consumables, for example, where you know that it's not gonna be like super wasteful and that there won't be a lot of stuff. And I do think if you just realize that you're always getting stuff that you don't want, I think it's a good idea to talk to them. It's a good idea to just say, like, look, I am really on this path to living a life with less things, and I realize that I have more than enough things that I need for my life. So you would really do me a favor if we could, instead of presents, maybe do something together for Christmas, or if you could give me money for this expensive thing that I want to buy, or if we could skip presents altogether because spending Christmas together is all I need or all I want. And the same, of course, goes for birthdays and other events. And the last one, I think it's a very important but also tricky one, is how do I deal with impulse shopping? How do I not just buy all the things and buy more things as soon as I declutter and then I have the same amount or even more things? Well, I think if you can, just give yourself a shopping ban or something. Do not buy stuff. But of course, in most cases, it's more complicated than that, because otherwise most of us would just do that and there wouldn't be a problem. I think one thing that I really like to do is keep a list. So as soon as you want to buy something, write it down and make sure over the next few days or weeks or months even that it's something you actually want to have. Put something on the list and 3 days later you look at the list and think like, oh, there are 3 things I really don't need. You can cross these off. But if there's something on the list you keep thinking about again and again and again, you can also go to the list and put marks behind it to visualize like the amount of times you've actually thought about it and wanted to buy it. So that is one thing. And the other thing is really like inner work and trying to understand if you want to have these things because they would actually add value to your life, or if you want to have these things because you want something from them that they cannot give you. An item itself cannot really give you happiness. An item itself cannot really make you look rich or make you more successful or things like that. Another thing to consider is, are you buying these things for yourself, or are you wanting to buy these things for another person or your fantasy self? Do you really want these things for the life you are living and the future you are going towards? Or are you like wanting to buy these things for a version of yourself that you're not, that you want to be, but that maybe isn't realistic? Or do you want to buy these things to impress other people, or because other people think you should get them? And there I think it just really makes sense to be careful and to make sure that you only buy things that actually make a positive impact in your future, for your life. And that's not selfish or anything, that is just making sure that you spend your money in a way where you will turn out to be a happy and fulfilled person, which then makes you able to spend more time and energy and resources on making other people happy and living just a good life. For several of these topics, I have also made individual videos that I'm gonna link down below in the description bar, so you can check them out if you're interested in one of these topics. I think I've almost covered all of these subjects before, so you can check the info box down below to make sure that you see the full video if something is in particularly interesting to you. And now I do recommend you watch this video right here. It's 5 ways to simplify your life, and it's more than decluttering. It's actually making sure that you're simplifying your life as a whole and not just your stuff. So I think you would really enjoy this one right now, and I hope to see you over there. Bye!